Chris Kaba was a core member in the notorious 67 South London gang and a drill rapper who bragged on camera about knifing rivals. The 67, once championed by Tim Westwood and even nominated for a Music Black Origin Mobo Award, are linked to shootings, stabbings and murders, as well as blackmail and extortion and running county lands drug networks across home counties. Kaba's own violent criminal career began when he was 13, when he turned up at a street fight wielding a large kitchen knife, but jurors in the Met Police marksman Martin Blake's murder trial were told Chris was an expectant father working in the building trade. Kaba graduated from knife crime to gun crime as he got older, but was later stabbed himself at his own 19th birthday party when rivals to his Brixton Hill gang launched an attack where two of his friends were shot as part of a bloody turf war. He survived knife wounds to the stomach but refused to cooperate with police trying to find the perpetrators. And he, himself, was the gunman in a meticulously organised hit on a rival in a packed nightclub just a week before he was shot by a Mets marksman in September 2022, it emerged. Kaba had 6 convictions before he died, the first coming when he was just in year 8 or 9 in school, and he had served prison sentences, including for firearms offences and possessing knives, but his criminal past was only revealed after an Old Bailey judge rejected a plea from his family to keep it secret in the wake of the acquittal of Met Police marksman Martin Blake, who was cleared of his murder in just 3 hours on Tuesday. Former Met detective Peter Blesksley said today that Kaba was a career criminal and a career gangster with a notorious 67 gang. I'm so delighted that today the truth about Chris Kaba can finally be told. Kaba, who died aged 23, had been unmasked as a feared and core member of the most dangerous street gang in South London. Scotland Yard believed his violent offending continued until just days before his death, where he shot the member of a rival gang in the Bethnal Green nightclub and after again chased him down the street outside. In a shocking attack captured on CCTV, the gangster started firing at Brandon Malutshi, chasing him outside the Oval Space Club, with one of the bullets hitting him in the leg. Had he not been killed, Mr Kaba would have stood trial at the Old Bailey for attempted murder of Mr Malutshi, who miraculously survived the nightclub shooting on August the 30th, 2022. His accomplices were later convicted for their role in the shooting during a trial where reporting was restricted to avoid any prejudge to jurors in the Blake case. CCTV footage showed Mr Kaba spotting his rival at the club before grabbing a bag from a friend, pulling on a single black glove, then covering his face. He then snatched the pistol from the bag and fired across the dance floor at Malutshi, who sprinted away. Mr Kaba chased him and fired a volley of bullets at his target, hitting him in the leg just below the buttock. Mr Malutshi, a member of the 17 gang, considered the 67's main rivals, was flown by air ambulance to Royal London Hospital and survived the shooting, eventually discharging himself against medical advice with a small bullet fragment still in his right leg. Mr Kaba's associates, Shemaya Bell and Marcus Pottinger, both 31, were found guilty of wounding with intent in February, while Connell Bamboy, 29, was convicted of possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence, but it was Mr Kaba who had pulled the trigger as part of a vicious war for control over a county lines drug dealing network which raged between two gangs. It has also emerged that the blue Audi Q8 driven by Kaba on the night he died on September the 5th, 2022, had been flagged to police as being involved in a shooting in Bromley 4 months earlier, where 2 men were again shot in the legs with a shotgun collected in the 75,000 luxury 4x4. It was also reportedly spotted at the scene of a shooting in Brixton on September the 4th, 2022, where a man was seen stuffing a shotgun into his trousers. The 23-year-old father-to-be rapper and much-loved son, and his death has caused huge anger in the capital's black communities, with stars including Stormzy supporting his family's battle for justice. West Ham and England defender Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 26, has donated at least 20,000 to online fundraiser in memory of Chris, who went to the same school as him in Croydon. Former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn attended one of the Justice for Chris Kaba's rallies in 2022, pictured close to Parliament with his fist aloft, but now the independent MP has not yet commented on Sergeant Blake's acquittal. It is not suggested Stormzy, Wan-Bissaka or Corbyn were aware of or condoned Kaba's criminal behaviour. The 67 gang, pronounced 6-7, has terrorised people living in their Brixton Hill fiefdom for decades, with threats of violence, drug dealing, and also a racket where they extort cash from freshies, slang for immigrants, in return for protecting their flats. It has also fought bloody turf wars with rivals from estates, sometimes just streets away from their area, including the 17 gang from Wandsworth and Clapdown gang, known as CT, based in Clapham. Multiple murder cases in recent years have been linked to the vicious feud, stoked by a back and forth of drill rap songs threatening each other with violence. However, the 67 was given a veil of respectability when its members were nominated for the Best Newcomer Prize at the Mobos in 2016 after getting millions of views on YouTube. Members of the gang are viewed as godfathers of the London drill rap scene, notorious to its links to violence, especially knife crime. Kaba rapped using aliases Maddox, Itch, and Maditch. One of the group's highest profile rappers is Cassie Utter Uffy, better known as LD or Scribs, who famously wears a silver mask after police tried to ban him from YouTube, but his career was disrupted for several years after being jailed for drugs offences. Utter Uffy and Malky Martin, who goes by ASAP, were sentenced to a total of 9 years behind bars for operating a drugs network that shipped heroin and crack cocaine to home counties. The pair, both central to the rap group 67, were stopped while driving a Mercedes A-Class in Basingstoke, Hampshire, in March 2018. In a London Crown Court heard that Utter Uffy and Martin had prior convictions for possession with intent to supply crack cocaine and heroin from 2013. Utter Uffy would later insist that he was surprised when he was found guilty in a video filmed from the back of a Rolls Royce that picked him up after he was released from prison. He also denied that drill rappers, or the 67, were connected to violence and organised crime. He claimed that he and his friends are from the gutter and we were looking to ways to make money from music. He said people need to see that being an artist and sometimes saying violent things is just being an artist. It's like when you're in a movie acting, you're about to rob a bank, it's not really that person. You still live a normal life. People think it's violence all day long, but they need to remember that everyone has a family. Yet Kaba himself had bragged about knife and rifles in his own rap songs. A year before the Mobo nomination in 2016, Kaba, then around 15, was part of a mob who had stabbed and beaten a rival in a Streatham phone shop. The victim was stabbed repeatedly with knives and whipped with a dog chain in a mob attack described as a bloodbath by witnesses. Rapping for the 67 under the name Itch, he bragged in a 2018 track about how he went from buying a trackie at JD's to chinging Jordan at Carphone, a clear nod to the attack. Ching is a drill slang for stabbing a rival. It is not yet clear while Chris Kaba ended up pursuing a life of crime. He, his younger brothers, and his Congolese parents have moved around southeast South London. His family says he was funny, boisterous, loyal, and loved football. One friend said he was extremely funny and would light up a room at parties. One cousin told the Times he was so strong he persisted through difficult times and encouraged others to do the same. He knew how to make people feel special. You'd leave him feeling appreciated. He was a core member of the family. He mattered to us. Whether his loved ones were fully aware of his criminal past is not known, but friends said that he was a family man who worked in construction before he died. His father, a financial advisor, had said at the time, "Why my son? He was a good boy and not involved in trouble." At the time of his death, Mr Kaba was about to become a father, and there was signs that he too was receptive to change from his last conversation with a friend, Alicia Fizzle. Miss Fizzle, who spoke to Mr Kaba on the phone minutes before he was shot, said he was calm and agreed with her when she gave him advice as an older person. But it has also been reported that the mother of the child, born shortly after he died, had obtained a domestic violence protection order against him while she was pregnant. As well as being a member of the 67, he was also involved in an organised crime network. The Times spoke to several people in Brixton Hill who said Kaba and his friends ran a protection racket, telling women on the estate that if they paid them, they would make sure no trouble would come to their door. The insider said that they targeted freshies, slang for immigrants from Central Africa. Local businesses, including hairdressers, are said to have also been shaken down for cash or protected in return for cheap or free haircuts for gang members. Cash from drugs were also crucial to the gang, whose members have been convicted of county lines offences and carrying weapons, a crime that Kaba committed on several occasions. After the Carphone warehouse attack, Kaba fired a sawn-off shotgun outside a party in Cannon Town, East London, and given 4 years in a young offenders institution for possession of an imitation firearm with intent to cause fear of violence. After being convicted aged 13 for carrying a knife, he was handed a youth referral order, but months later he was convicted of wounding with intent and sent to a young offenders institution for 2 years. After his release, he was then convicted of burglary after he was part of a gang who raided a mobile phone shop. The 67 gang is said to have taken its name from the telephone code for Brixton Hill in South London, for which many of its members hail. Its arch-rival was from the 17 gang from the neighbouring Wandsworth Road area, which took its name from the date 17-year-old Brandon Malutshi was fatally stabbed in a bar in the early hours of July the 1st, 2013. Coincidentally, it was Jordan's brother Brandon, 25, who was shot in the legs in a nightclub by Mr Kaba on August the 30th, 2022. An earlier trial of 67 gang associates was told. In June 2013, Jerome Small, then 32 from Redden, was found guilty of Jordan's murder and jailed for life following a trial at Reading Crown Court. Mr Justice Goss had ruled that none of the details of Mr Kaba's connection with gangs should be told to jurors during firearms officer Martin Blake's trial at the Old Bailey. Mr Gibbs had argued that Mr Blake was well aware of the escalating tension between Mr Kaba's 67 gang and its rivals before the police stopped, prompted by the identification of an Audi linked to a shooting incident in Brixton the night before. On Mr Blake's concern at the time, he said, "This defendant, like all the other officers in the team, is familiar with these gangs, knows what they are, knows how dangerous they are, knows how often they shoot each other. It's the most dangerous gang in South London. That's what the context is. As it happens, he was completely right." A police report stated that 67 is an identifiable street gang that are active in violent dispute with rival faction of street gangs in Lambeth. This dispute has encompassed numerous firearms discharges, stabbings and murders. The narrative for this dispute has played out in gang-related musical content since 2014. 67 gang and those affiliated to the group are embedded in a culture of drug supply, serious violence, firearms and knife possession. The author of the report concluded, "It is my firm belief that 6-7 have been and remain the highest harmed street gang in Lambeth, and they continue to present serious risk to harm to those individuals and groups they are in opposition with or have had issues with." The report dated June the 16th, 2023, was presented at a hearing to decide whether Mr Blake should be tried anonymously under his cipher NX121 because of the threat of gang reprisals over Mr Kaba's death. The author drew on experiences since 2008 of monitoring and reviewing and researching historical and contemporary events involving street gangs and individuals, efforts to suppress gang-related violence in Lambeth and work to divert young people away from gangs. Mr Kaba was also listed as a former member of the separate 67 drill rap collective, which first rose to fame around 2014. It was among the first of its kind to enjoy mainstream popularity and chart success with best known tracks Let's Lurk. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
This case has had an enormous impact on many. Chris Kaba's family and friends continue to grieve the loss of a loved one, and today will be enormously difficult for them. Today's verdict is significant. No firearms officer sets out on duty intent on ending a life. I worry about the lack of support officers face for doing their best. But most of all, I worry for the public. The more we crush the spirit of good officers, the less they can fight crime. That risks London becoming less safe.